everyone, Nyonstar here, and I made my first and last real friends in middle school. I've talked about these friends in several videos before, and two of them even got their own videos. While things didn't end well, I do want to talk about my happy memories with them. I was friends with these people for a reason, you know? For those who are new, let's introduce our cast. This was my closest friend, who I call B for best friend. And since some people miss the pronouns, B goes by they them. This is V. She was my friend for years before we dated briefly in high school, though she ended up passing away. I made a whole video about her. And this is A, short for asshole. They joined the friend group later, and I eventually had to cut him off because he was abusive. I also made a video about them, and they go by he, they pronouns. Despite not joining the friend group until later, I actually met A first. On the first day of middle school, we had an assembly to welcome us to the school and junk, and I started talking to the person next to me. They introduced themselves as A, and I introduced myself by showing my ID, but my name was blocked by a piece of paper, so we made jokes about that. We all went to our first classes, and in my second class that day, which was gym, I met V. I was immediately wary of her since she was so outspoken and pretty, but I quickly found out that she was as much of a nerd as I was. At lunch, I sat at a table in the outside area, and B came up to me and asked if they could sit with me. We got along right away. B was also in my gifted class. A had been mistakenly placed in the gifted program and ended up staying, and V got in a couple months into the school year. I had made friends with B and V, who knew each other in elementary school, but I had a hard time initially getting us all to hang out. B and I hung out during lunch, but V was always busy. Eventually, she had the free time to spend lunch with us, and we all hung out during class once V joined. Since I was the one who pushed for us all to hang out, I was declared the leader, and I named our group the Sudahanas, a butchered Japanese translation of the Starflowers. There were other members of the Sudahanas, but they didn't last long. We were friends with a girl I call Liz, who also went to the same elementary school as B and V. She had a bit of a temper and constantly picked fights with us, and she moved to a different middle school the next year. There was also this one girl that I don't remember the name of. A teacher came up to B and I at lunch and told us to make friends with this girl, but we didn't really click. We didn't know how to tell her that we didn't really want to hang out, so we just let her join us until she also moved to a different school. While the three of us were friends with A, since we were all in a small gifted class together, he wasn't part of the friend group until 7th grade. That year, our gifted teacher would give us assigned seats in groups of 4. Early on in the year, she placed B, V, A, and I in the same group, tightening our bonds. We also had to come up with group names for class games and such, so I named our group the Nekomatas, after the two-tailed cat from Japanese mythology. Can you tell I was a massive weeb? Even after we would get seated with other people, we were still close. While we were all close with each other, B was the friend I hung out with the most. We shared gifted language arts and band together, we ate lunch together every day, and we constantly texted each other. They even invited me to their birthday that year, where we painted ceramics. I made my cat with a Maneki Neko base. I had my first sleepover at their house, and they gave me frequent rides home later on. I was originally supposed to take the bus home, but I found out that I liked walking home better. But sometimes I didn't want to walk, so B's parents would drive me home. B had a lot of after-school clubs, so I would sit in sometimes just for that free ride. I would usually sit in during their jazz band club, but I also sat in on their advanced math club a couple of times, even though it annoyed everyone that I didn't want to do any math. One time I suddenly asked B what their favorite cake was, and someone asked, "Oh, did you two meet recently?" And I was just like, "We've been friends for 3 years." On days they didn't have clubs, sometimes their mom got caught up with work, so we would walk over to the school where she worked and hang out until she was done. We got to pet baby chicks. B also took me to the balloon fiesta once, since they had connections with the staff, but we didn't get to ride any balloons. Oh yeah, for the non-New Mexicans in the audience, the balloon fiesta is a whole festival in the fall for hot air balloons. The whole sky is full of hot air balloons, and it's like a big deal in Albuquerque. They also had me sleep over at their house for my 14th birthday, which was very nice since my mom had been hospitalized that day. We had KFC, watched Let's Plays, and in the morning they gave me my 3DS. They wrote me lovely messages in the notes, but my brother ended up deleting them. We did hang out with each other, though not always with all of us. The Sudahanas would hang out the most since we were all AFAB, so our parents had no problems with us having sleepovers. During our first group sleepover, we watched the first two Star Wars trilogies and played Undertale. We only got past Papyrus though, since Liz was so upset that I wanted to voice Toriel that she refused to participate. We watched the first trilogy at Bee's house. Then we watched the prequels in their mom's empty classroom the next day. Once we were done, Bee's parents took us to the theater so we could see The Force Awakens. Speaking of Star Wars, for Bee's 13th birthday, they took us to see a live orchestra that played the Star Wars soundtrack. It's funny, their parents gave them the seat in the middle since it was their birthday, but both B and V wanted to sit next to me, so I was given the middle seat. For my 13th birthday, I had V and B party at my house, the first friends I ever had at my house. I mean, we got trapped in my room and my dog bit B's ankle, but it was still a good time. As Nekomatas, we didn't hang out much outside of school activities, since it's hard to schedule with 4 people. We went to our middle school GSA together, and we all hung out during our 8th grade dances. Once we went to high school, we didn't hang out with B that much. They went to a different high school than the rest of us, and they had a lot of activities and honors homework, so they were usually too busy to hang out. Instead, A, V, and I grew closer. I moved early into the school year, and I ended up living close to A's house, so sometimes I'd go walk to A's house after school. And of course, V and I got way closer that year. She would also come with us to A's house sometimes. My favorite was when we played Cards Against Humanity while eating KFC. I'm still salty that I lost a round because neither of them knew what the Rapture was. Come on guys, we all had religious childhoods, how do you not know about the Rapture? V, A, and I also hung out at the Halloween party A threw at their house. B was also invited, but something came up last minute, which was disappointing since we'd been planning this party for ages. But that wasn't just a Nekomata hangout, A invited a lot of his friends over. Memorable moments of this party include A conveniently losing the list of music he asked me for, and no one liking the music I did manage to get them to play. V and I sneaking off to A's room to have a vulnerable conversation about our trauma, and then going outside to have our first kiss. All the adults getting extremely drunk and leaving, and apparently A's mom made out with her boyfriend's mom while V and I were outside. And I had a sip of some kind of alcoholic beverage and immediately felt bad about it. And of course, the 3 of them would hang out with each other without me. Like when I was sick and the 3 of them went to see Jacksepticeye's live show. Or when they went to our high school's football game, which they didn't tell me about until it was too late for me to go. Now for some inside jokes / references. One time at lunch, B, V, and I came up with our own birthday song. It went like, happy birthday to you, you smell like shampoo, you look like you need therapy, and we all hate you. We all found it hilarious, but every time we sang it for each other, an adult would tell us off for being mean, even though we were all smiling and laughing. I don't remember exactly how this joke got started, but we would always say infinity like infinity. It was common for us to say things like, I love you for infinity to each other. Bringing A into this, we had special Nekomata nicknames. Due to some OCs, I got called the demon of the group, V was called the robot, and A was the alien. We didn't know what to call B, so they called themselves the time traveler, because they were a nerd. We also had our own symbols. I was the stars, V was the moon, B was the sun, and A was the clouds. Considering everything, it's appropriate that A was the only one that wasn't a celestial body. Now, I want to go over this Sudahana logo that I came up with in the 8th grade. I had the focus be a red Nekomata to reference the other group. It has a shield with the titular starflower and a yo-yo with our symbols on it. It has petal jewelry, though I don't remember why I chose these colors. The top of the shield has 4 roses in different colors. I think the pink rose means gratitude or joy, white might mean eternal loyalty, this might be a peachy rose for gratitude or yellow for friendship, and orange for admiration. I don't know what my source was at the time, so this might not be why I chose these colors. The banner at the bottom has Friends for Infinity written in Latin, and it's colored with our pride flags. Bisexual for me, asexual for B, and straight for V, since she identified as straight at the time. Now, as much as I want to keep talking about happy memories, this story doesn't have a happy ending. About a month after the Halloween party, and 2 months into our relationship, V took her own life. This was devastating for everyone who knew her. B, A, and I had a sleepover to play Undertale over winter break, and we finished that in Chapter 1 of Deltarune over spring break, where A treated me terribly. He had treated me badly over most of our friendship, but this broke me. Over the summer, I finally cut them off, with B keeping me updated. Right before I dropped out of school, I texted B that I had so much homework, and they said, I believe in you, and that was the last I ever heard from them. I had felt very depressed and insecure at the time, and I was always the one who had to reach out first. So I decided to wait for them to text me first to prove that they still wanted to be my friend, that they thought of me at all. And I'm still waiting. They did message A and I in a group chat to show a little chalk memorial they'd made for V at a Pride event, but since I had A blocked, I didn't see these messages until months later when I downloaded my data. This was super upsetting for me. BFF doesn't message me for years and then they add me into a group chat with A. But yeah, I haven't heard directly from them since 2019. That still stings me a bit. We were all really close for years and then things just fell apart. Back in the day, we all wanted to live together after high school, promising to be friends forever. That all feels a bit naive in hindsight, but I do still treasure all the good memories we had together. Stay safe out there. Bye!